You're watching News Night. Before we went on that break, you saw Hotu Odo's report on police pensioners. Well, joining me now to discuss constitutional issues in the appointment of the IGP and, of course, the welfare of retired police personnel, I have Frank Tietie, a lawyer and a Rise analyst, joining me. Frank, good to see you. It's been a while. I wonder what emotions, were battling within you as you saw that report about Hotu Odo. Let me start. Of course, we're going to be talking about state police and the new IGP's position on that. He says, my priority is to end insecurity, build officers' morale. I guess this is very important now.
Build the morale, because Nigerian policemen, men and women in Nigerian police, the officers there are suffering. I think there's something I've noticed about serving and retired policemen. They seem to be ashamed to talk about how much they are suffering. When I was assigned this discussion, I had to dust up a number of things. That was where my tears even began. Before this report, because I now realized that we have been such a wicked country to our own selves by the way we have treated our policemen. Program them to suffer, program them with poverty, and then program them to die in such penury.
You heard what one of them said. If you did not die in service, go die from hunger. Yeah.
I mean, you see, the idea is that, look, for a very long time, it's as if the policing system is to make the policeman poor so that he can be easily controlled by the government. It didn't know. And then it was also made to dehumanize his mindset so that he can also, discharge a dehumanizing police service. And that's what I discovered. Unfortunately, however, I think this is one of the boldest and most progressive move I have seen of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government to dare to consider now shifting the responsibility and sharing the responsibility of policing between the federal government and the state government. We cannot pretend that we are a federation and have a unitary or centralized police system. Long ago, even in the days of former President Muhammadu Buhari, when he set up the presidential panel on special anti-robbery squad, SARS, headed by Antonio Ojukwu, when they issued a report, which is popularly known as the Tony Ojukwu report 2019, recommended that the principal solution to the problems of our policing system is the establishment of not only state police but local police. The idea is that you cannot heap all of these burdens to maintain a police system on the federal government that is already overburdened, and then you expect them to discharge police service to all of the states and then leave governors without any responsibility and then you pay them such peanuts. Don't even go there. When you talk about managing police system, for very many years in this country, for 10 years, going back from 2015, Nigerian police divisions, when you say police division, some of them are being run with just 30,000 naira per quarter, 30,000 naira. And what do you expect a policeman to do with that? He has inmates that he keeps as suspects in the cell. He has to buy fuel for generator.
He must run the operations.
Don't even talk about vehicles. He probably doesn't have them. And then you expect that he runs police service, but why would you expect bail to be free? It's as if you program the policeman at that level to be corrupt, and then they see a serving policeman sees a retired policeman suffering horrendously. I mean, that man is lucky as a deputy commissioner of police retired. There are commissioners of police that I know that are retired that earn 70,000 naira a month. I'm talking about a commissioner of police, someone who has been in charge of the state. Now, so when he is approaching retirement, he gets scared. From my findings show that a policeman would rather die serving than to be in the police force. Than to be retired. So retirement is like some form of death sentence. And like that brother said, that if he didn't die in the hands of criminals, it appears that retirement has programmed you to die. So there is an urgent need, and I can't be thankful enough. And in fact, I wasn't even aware that this Nigerian Senate, what some of the good stories we hear from the Senate and the House of Representatives, that they have quickly sent a bill to the president asking that the police retirees be removed from the contributory pension scheme. Because how can you serve for 35 years and then get about 1.2 million as gratuity or 2 million naira, and then you start earning 30,000 as a superintendent of police? You earn 41,000 naira, something that is not enough for me to buy a plate of food outside this country. I mean, just imagine, that's what you pay a retired superintendent of police who probably is a university graduate. In fact, I was just wondering, when I left the law school more than 20 years ago, I was so attracted to join the police. I don't know how I escaped this kind of disaster.
I wonder if anyone would want their ward or anyone of their family to join the police.
President Tinubu, who has had the courage, in fact, the courage to dare to say, look, where is the Tony Ojukwu report? Because I commendable and congratulations to the new Inspector General of Police. Yeah. And I like the way he has started out. He probably may have confirmed.
He says state police has come to stay. And let me add to that. If thoughtfully designed and effectively implemented, state policing holds significant potential benefits for our country, and that's according to the
new Inspector General of Police doesn't need to go too far. I mean, he should take a look at the Tony Ojukwu report on police reforms.
What are the key recommendations?
About the recommendations, first of all, is that apart from other recommendations as to ensuring that human rights, police are given adequate training and their welfare are taken care of, but with regards to the establishment of state police and local police, the Tony Ojukwu report, recommends, adequate consultation, and then with expanded roles for the Nigeria Police Council that is headed by the president itself, so in order to have a supervisory structure for state and local police. The point is this: I mean, you see, if you know how abandoned our rural communities are, because of a centralized police system that is so highly underfunded, that with the officers that are so unmotivated, that are licensed to be poor. And that is so unfortunate. I have my classmates, respected classmates of mine who went to university, and they are ashamed to mention that they have monthly salary. They are ashamed to mention their monthly salaries. But they've never to tell me on this occasion. And I said, so what are you still doing there? He said, we are living right. I mean, by some way of welfare, a kind of euphemism for, asking for bribes or whatever it is.
There you go.
And then, you see, the system is like programming the policeman to collect bribes to survive. Right. And as he's approaching retirement, he's programmed to do whatever nefarious thing in order to survive in retirement.
How do you operationalize this state police and local government? I
cannot overemphasize the Tony Ojukwu report when it comes to specific areas as to how to operationalize in terms of jurisdiction and control. So the Nigerian Police Council, for example, will make in terms of policy guidance, while the National Assembly can also make laws. But one thing that is striking in that report is that, you see, there should be some limitation as to the amount of force state police are able to deploy. Yes, because we will still have the federal police that runs. It happens in other democracies that are federations. And then you also see a situation where recruitments are not actually meant to be sectional, as if just because you have a state police and then you imagine that all the policemen will be employed for that. No. In that Tony Ojukwu report, it's a recommendation that any person who has lived in a state for a minimum period of 10 years is eligible to be employed into that state police. So it doesn't matter where you come from, so long as you're a Nigerian and you understand the locality to the extent that you've lived there for about 10 years, you are eligible to be employed into the state police. In fact, very copious recommendations that were made in that report, and I recommend very quickly that Olatunji Diso shouldn't go too far. Take that, and I also encourage the National Human Rights Commission, because Tony Ojukwu was appointed as the chairman of that presidential panel by President Buhari in his capacity as the executive secretary of the National Human Rights Commission. Even though it was a national assignment, but you see, there was that human rights approach in to policing, which now guarantees that cooperation at local and state level for maintaining security. Imagine.
Very quickly, I wish I could let you land, even, say a whole lot more on that train of thought. You heard Inalegu there say, look, is it state police that is the reason or the fundamental issues, affecting our security situation in Nigeria? Apparently, he's making an argument against it.
Yes.
Do you envisage a downside to state policing?
There were clear,
how do you address it?
Let me tell you, there were clear indications that there were some persons who belong to the old guard, the ideological position that, they should continue. I mean, Inalego operated in a national police system, so he doesn't understand. He has never even imagined how a dual police or a multi-level police system can operate. He doesn't understand it. So now let's look at it this way. We have a federation, where with tiers of government that are independent states, not so independent, it's just their tiers of government is a federation. Now, you have governors that are not responsible, yet you call them chief security officers. Meanwhile, you are complaining about pension issues or salaries, whereas monies that are supposed to be used for other things, used for policing, because the primary responsibility of every government, whether at the local government level, is to provide security first before any other thing.
Right.
Now, you ask the people to go to the polls, elect a governor, give him political power, and strip him of all the powers to set up a police and deploy force to maintain and provide security for the people who voted him. He watches them die. Especially as we see in some parts of northern Nigeria and other parts, and he watches helplessly, and then he cannot give lawful orders to a so-called commissioner of police that is controlled by an IG in Abuja who does not understand the local circumstances in any way. So governors are now going to, by the reason of a state police, be responsible for deploying budget. In fact, you will be judged by how much you apply the budget of your state in maintaining the welfare of your police officers, motivating them for the purpose of providing security for your own people.
Don't they get security votes already? Frank Tietie, we'll have to leave it there.
Of course, there are a lot more issues.
Thank you so much.
But for goodness sake, President Tinubu should not waste time.
Okay, great.
I mean, I imagine how the speed and gusto he has used in, amending the constitution or amending laws that favor him. This time around, this will be his major signature, the major and most significant progressive signature if he is able to achieve this, not for himself, but for the progress and stability of this country, Nigeria, for the safety of every Nigerian, whether in northern Nigeria or in southern Nigeria. This is for a Nigerian. This will be the biggest legacy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We should not waste time about it.
Thank you so much. And the National Assembly has assured that they will not be wasting time. Of course, Tinubu has been on their case that they should amend the laws to create state police. Frank Tietie, thank you very much for joining us.